All right. And it looks like we are live and there's nobody watching
Okay.
yet.
Well,
Oh, there we
it's
go. Three
okay.
people. Welcome
People
to,
people slowly come.
yes, welcome to Jen's awesome show. I'm here with Caue Motta, and we don't know each other, so this is going to be super interesting and good time. So
Yeah.
hang on and enjoy the ride, I guess. Just grab my notes here. So, you said that you are currently in Indonesia.
That's right. Yes.
Okay, are you from Indonesia?
I am not. So I'm from Brazil,
Oh,
originally,
okay.
but I have been away from Brazil for between 8 to 10 years now. I've lost count. uh, what I did when I left the last time that I left Brazil, I went to Australia to study and to work. Just live a different life for a little bit. Me and my girlfriend at the time. And then we ended up here in Indonesia after that. But I guess we can get more in depth as we go if you want to ask me more questions about that too.
Mostly I'm just deeply curious. I've traveled a bit, but I have never been to Indonesia. I have no idea what it's like. What drew you there?
So from Australia, I met these two people, a couple of mates of mine they had this startup idea in their heads, and they wanted to act on it, and basically got me on board to help with the tech stuff and the website. And then, developed from there. Like I ended up doing lots of different things as one has to do in a startup, especially when like a chief position kind of thing, a co-founder. Um, and That startup was always intended to be for an Indonesian market. So it started up as an Australian little entrepreneurship, just because then we had entered an accelerator program for the Melbourne Uni, and that just got us started, with the research and development kind of thing, and we had a few people on board as well. But then within about a year, they basically we basically got some investment, and the investors just said, okay, if you want to really be serious about this and move on, then we would like you to actually move to Indonesia and properly start the company, which is what we did. So I've been here for about 5 years now. uh, yeah, and it's been an interesting journey so far.
That's pretty nifty. What would you say in all the places you've lived, what's the biggest cultural challenge for you?
That's interesting. Interesting question. I think there are different kinds of challenges. Everywhere that you go, that's a new place and with a new culture. There's gonna have it's gonna involve some kind of challenges culturally speaking. Uh, I'd say Australia overall is a more westernized country, as people know, and it's just overall a little bit closer to the Brazilian culture, maybe also because it's in the southern hemisphere and they're more laid back and they have the beaches, and it's like warmer countries tend to look more alike in behavioral, society. And I guess like same goes for the northern countries, but so that wasn't too hard to adapt, really. I guess the language in the beginning, I mean, I already spoke English and I could understand, pretty well, but the Australians have a thick accent, which I still,
Yes,
to this
I do.
date, I still have a little bit of it, and it's a little bit of a mix, I guess. My accent, I can go more American if I want to, but then I could go full blown Australian if I like to as well. So it's just it depends. I guess I usually just navigate somewhere in the middle.
Yep.
Um, and Yeah, Australians are really nice people overall, and the culture is super cool, super chilled, and I really, really like the way that they use common sense in a way that makes sense to me as well. Like their common sense resonates with mine most of the time. But there are issues in the country, and uh, yeah, I guess most culturally in there, the challenge was Australians tend to be really polite and educated and nice to you, but it's harder to actually break that barrier of becoming, best friends and just really doing everything together kind of thing. And uh, um, which is something that for Brazilians is super easy. Like we meet people in the first day, we could be best friends. We just do everything together and we share our whole lives and stuff like that. And Australia is a bit different, so it was a bit of an adaptation. but we have really good friends from Australia that we were able to make, and that I treasure very much. And then when it comes to Indonesia, uh, of course, very different country, way more different culturally speaking. Because in here, I mean, most of the population where I live in Jakarta and in most of the country is Muslim, so that's already like, and they take religion as a main part of their society. They embed a lot of what religion means to them inside of their daily routine and the things that they do. You have the mosques doing their ceremonies, 4 or 5 times a day, including in the night. So all that, like, it's a bit of a change. You have all the women wearing the hijab, and at first you're not really used. You see, I've seen women with hijab before in Brazil and in Australia, but not as much as here. And you're just a bit more curious about it in the beginning. You're not too sure, like, how you should behave, if you could shake hands, if you can't, and things like that. But in the end, again, because it's a warmer country, I guess, not necessarily, because it's quite different from the Middle East, and they have really warm weather over there. Um, but in here, it's more laid back as well. Like, even in terms of the religion, they're less strict than a lot of other Muslim places, because a lot of places they have, you know, they also take religion very seriously, like here, but they have really a set of rules and things that they almost embed in their government decisions and all that. In here, it's a little bit less. Like, and they're very acceptable when it comes to other religions. They have other official religions in the country, so it's not an exclusively Muslim country. Uh, and it's also that's the side of the religion things. But then you also have the different culture in terms of just being Asia, and it's the way they think very oftentimes is very different from Western countries. Sometimes even just a basic logic on how to approach problems in the daily life and things like that. It's different, and it's always an adaptation, but it is a fun one. Indonesians are super friendly, overall. They're nice people, and I've been having a good time since I moved over here, so I have no complaints.
That's fantastic. I'm glad to hear it. Um, Gonna change topic a little bit here. If you could
Yeah,
make
of
one
course.
really big mess, really, really big, with zero repercussions, you don't have to clean it up, not your monkeys, not your circus, what would you do?
Wow, that's an interesting question. Very specific and very different. One big mess. I guess I would have to say definitely something related to my son, because I've got a son that's just a year and 3 months old, and having that amount of fun with a full blown mess that you don't have to clean up and stuff without kids is way less fun, I guess, than with kids. So I would definitely involve him and my wife, and if possible, like most of my family and friends, and just having everyone in a place where we can just do anything creative. Like, let's say a house, it could be my house, or any place that's got all different elements and objects and stuff, electronics, or you know uh, textures and materials, and then just get everyone to remodel the whole thing. Like, just, you could break things apart, put them together again, just like be creative and just do whatever you want. I guess that would be a really fun time.
That's pretty close to what my answer was too. My house would be made of art, but not in a stable, well-structured house kind of way. So,
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. That's pretty fun. Yeah. I
yeah,
think that maybe I've heard you say something about like a house of art in your interview with Raul Lee. Maybe that actually kind of subconsciously led me to respond this, now that you're saying that.
that's
But
a
it is a
possibility.
really fun idea. I love it.
It would be great. So then, jumping from that to something else quite creative, if I say metaverse, what does that mean to you?
A place where you let creativity loose and you have no boundaries except for goodness and being kind to each other. And yeah, that's a short answer, but a precise one, I think, in my opinion.
I like that. That works. Okay. So then, how did you get involved with the Uplift World?
Right. So um, I can start a little bit before the uplift. When this end of last year, I was introduced to the NFT space and reintroduced to the crypto space by a good mate of mine, one of the co-founders of my company, Caue. And we basically started to talk all things NFT, and we started to, just get into it. Initially, it was more of a financial investment kind of thing. We just wanted to I started off like basically trying to make a quick flip, because that's, I guess, common with a lot of people that get into this space and get just overwhelmed by how much you can make just within an hour of buying and selling and all that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I will still do a couple of those things every now and then, because I think it's still, financially it makes sense. But I developed way more of a taste for the space and for what it actually represents and the changes that it can bring to the world and all. Um, so because I had invested in crypto before, 2 to 3 years ago, maybe, like when it was still high, and then Bitcoin just went down and never came back up until very recently, as everyone knows. So I hadn't really been looking all that deep into cryptocurrency in between, in that time, that period of time. It was just kind of like this big winter, and I just never really got really deep into it. But then this time I kind of really dove head first, and just really try to understand what really the possibilities are, because it's one thing to just see it as an investment. It's another thing to understand what are the implications that this can actually bring to society and how we interact, and future finance of the world, and things like that, right? And I think I started to understand more and more, and then at some point I was looking at YouTube videos and watching crypto and NFT related stuff, and I found Blue's video talking about his collection and how it was all based on gratitude, and how he was raising money for the Haitian Roots school, and that just immediately resonated with me, because I love the idea of having fun and just buying things, and having a good financial return and all, but just doing that, and also applying like the concept of win-win-win, and just actually helping and making a difference in the world. That was really, really cool. So then I pretty much immediately after his video, I paused his video in the middle and went and bought like my Bitcoin Bull, and a couple of other NFTs from UpliftArt. And then a couple of days later, I went and participated on the Tiamo campaign, and donated whatever I could at the time, to it. And then after a few days in it, and participating a little bit in the Uplift Art group, I saw someone mentioning the Uplift World, and saying, "Look, these guys are putting together this Minecraft server," and I didn't really know much about it, or anything really at that point. But I just know that I remembered fondly of the nostalgia that it brought over, because I've played Minecraft before, like maybe 10 years ago on online servers and stuff. And then since then, I've been on and off, just like on my Switch, and just here and there, like playing a little bit for fun, but very, very occasional, and not anything close to what I've been doing lately with the Uplift. But then I just thought, why not? I'll just go and try to help out in whatever I can. So I got into the group, and I just offered help. Said, look, you guys are building this metaverse. Would you like help building? And I could probably try to assist you. And then they responded to me saying, I think it was Anders who wrote, "Oh, this is still a closed project at this point, but we're going to eventually open to the public and all." So I just say, "Yeah, fine. I mean, if you need anyone else to volunteer, like, let me know. But otherwise, I'll just wait for the release." And then just kept an eye on it. And then for the next few days, I was lucky enough that I found it at a point where I think it was right where before it started to become popular to the general community. So I entered the Telegram group when it was still mostly just communities building, and the team and everything. And then from there, it started like I was a person that started to participate more in the group, and then lots of people started to flood in, basically interested in the project. And I've never really been a person to participate that much in forums online, or more of a make friends in real life kind of thing. And even though I've always used messengers and stuff, of course, but never really been like more the people I already knew from the real world, and not like really been big in online communities only and stuff. But then this time something just drew me in, and I went all in. So I guess like the time was also right for me, because I had just stopped taking an active role in my company after COVID. Things were really tough, and the company managed to survive. But I had a really, really rough burnout, and wasn't doing that well. Wasn't feeling happy, basically, doing that on a daily basis, and working. It was really intense, right? So I decided to step out a little bit, still act as a consultant and help and stuff, but basically be at home, and just care for my son. Because then at the time I just basically agreed with my wife that she was going to focus on her career then, because mine was what brought us to Indonesia. And it's just fair enough that whatever next step we take, it's just going to be on her and whatever she decides to do. So then I was caring for my kid, and I had a little bit of extra time, whenever he was taking his naps, or at night. And then I just dove head first into the Telegram group, and just started to, because I was interesting. I was generally interested in the uplift, uh, and I was gathering information for myself, and always reading stuff. So I thought, why not? I could just help out everyone as well. So I started just to respond things nonstop, like trying to help out. And I guess like that also caught the attention of Corey and the team. And then I actually, I don't know if many people know, but there was a banner competition on Twitter that Corey put out, and then I kind of like decided that I had some free time on my hand, just decided to help. And then he chose or the community chose my banner. It went to Twitter, and that was the first contact that I had with Corey directly. So I just messaged him after that. Look, uh, I really like what you guys are doing here. I see lots of sense in this. I'm just coming out of a long journey on my startup. I'm still a shareholder and all, but I have time in my hands, and I would like to help in any way I can, right? And so I sent him like what I've done, a little bit of my past, and we scheduled a chat, and we had a chat, and from there on, like it just went up and scaled pretty quickly, and I've been super busy with all Uplift World stuff, and just super happy to be part of this, really.
That's fantastic. That's a very, very positive and uplifting story.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, I mean,
You know,
I love it too.
it's great. So what I keep running into when I talk to people about the uplift is glazed over eyes, real genuine confusion, and nobody knows what I'm talking about. So on that fun note, what part of the uplift world is the weirdest for you?
The weirdest. Um, Oh, it's hard. That's a hard question for me, because I like weird stuff as well. And I very oftentimes when people think it's weird, I don't think it's really weird. It's that, as I said, like on the answer about what a metaverse, what was a metaverse, what came to my mind that you asked me. I just think it's a creative place that needs to be explored, like in any different way that you can think of. So weird is good. I think that there should be all kinds of weird stuff. I like. I don't know. I guess like the way that there's below the cathedral, we have your huge panel, which is awesome, by the way, and a few of the other pieces of art and stuff. And then you have like this really, really primitive cave that was probably like built a while back, that just takes you up to the side, like to a side entrance, kind of a secret entrance thing. And I like how some of those things happen around the world. Like you have these really, really fancy places that have lots of art and cool architecture and stuff. And then sometimes, like in the background, you have little spaces that you explore that are probably reminiscent of the time people started to build that. And there's like a little cave with a little bed and a little chest with a couple of things inside. And it's super cool to see that combination, like, of old and new world kind of thing, that you can still even see that in a place like the Uplift, and that's part of its history. So I don't know if that's just weird, but I think that is a cool thing.
That
I'm
is
not sure if I
pretty.
answered the question, but
I like that answer. That works. Um, what music should I be listening to when I do the write up for this later, and why?
okay. I'm really eclectic when it comes to music,
Me
but
too.
I'd have to say just the gratitude song. I've been listening to it very often. So yeah, that would make sense to me.
That works. Yep, I like that one. Um, how did you get involved with Schipul? How did you find out about
Okay.
it?
So that was a curious situation. Basically, I was approached at the time that I told you that I sent message the Corey the message after the banner Twitter banner thing, and all, and we started the conversation. I guess it was just a few days after that I started the conversation with Corey, and I had already scheduled, the first call or a first meeting with him, when Martian Bullshipples reached over to me and just said, "Look, I've noticed that you're pretty active in the community. How would you like to just come and work with our project, right?" And he explained a little bit about Sheepletopia and what it was going to be, and I thought it was pretty awesome. So I'm like, yeah, I'm definitely in to help out in any way I can. But just so you know, I've actually already been talking to Corey to kind of work in the Uplift world in a more general way, which is also something that interests me quite a lot. So just bear that in mind. Like, if after that conversation with Corey, nothing ends up happening there, I'm totally in. But even if it does, I'm all for just helping out in any way I can. Like, just basically helping Shipples or Shippletopia and everything to develop and, yeah, do research or whatever it is, right? So then that I ended up actually working with the Uplift, and but I still am part of, as you know, the group of managing directors of Shippletopia, and it's super exciting. There's just so much creativity being shared in there, and they have great ideas which you cannot share with you yet, but you guys are going to see. It's just awesome. uh, and these guys are just great. Like, they're doing something for the good as well. Like, it's very, very focused on philanthropy and helping others, and it's just a really, really nice project. So what my role kind of became uh, mainly this liaison agent situation, where I'm just building a bridge, I guess, like trying to build a bridge as much as possible between the team of the Uplift and the team of Shippletopia, so that hopefully we get whatever data and information that is relevant to both can be shared, and we can kind of contribute to each other's projects as much as possible, that kind of stuff, and giving some feedback and giving away some really, really cool Shippo memes, NFTs sometimes, which they are really, really cool to provide me with, and then I just hand out in the community. So that's mostly my involvement, and whatever else they need from here on is always going to be a pleasure to try and help.
That's fantastic and interesting too that there is that crossover. Okay, so now we've come to the part that completely startled Corey.
Okay.
Um, pick a noun.
Pick a noun. Fish.
Okay. Pick a verb.
uh to dance.
And one of the following: who, what, when, where, why, or how.
Why? Because I said so.
Okay. So, why might someone who is very new to the community feel like a fish out of water when they're starting to dance in the uplift?
Right, that's super cool. Okay. uh because it's uh it's a space that's incredibly dynamic. I mean, if you consider the history of humankind, the internet's already disruptive enough, and then you have something inside of the internet that's just trying to disrupt the whole financial model of the world, and the art space and every single thing that has a tradition of being the way it is for centuries or thousands of years, and then all of that combined with online gaming and building a positive community. Uh, that's very overwhelming, and it's really, really tough at times to understand even what is the ideal response that I should give to the community whenever people are looking for information, because I mean, come on. Like sometimes I don't know myself. Like it's moving at 1,000 miles an hour, way more than that. We're flying, and things are getting broken before they get fixed, and they're getting uh, established before they can be broken down again and reestablished. And it's just the way it is. So it's definitely hard for a fish to dance within the uplift community, but it's super fun, and I'm sure this fish is just always going to have lots of fun as long as there's positivity and it's based on gratitude.
Definitely. What impact do you think the Uplift world will have on the non-crypto people who don't even know it exists yet?
Yeah, that's going to be really nice to see, to watch. Who knows, right? Like we don't know exactly yet, because many people have tried to bring non something into a space. Like if you're not a non gamer, and then a new game comes up that says that the claims they're for all ages and all people, or a new business that starts up and says, look, it's for this market which you traditionally wouldn't be interested in, but we're doing things different and we want you to be part of this, right? So the uplift is a lot of that, and I think we're off to a really good start, just because there's a lot of people like that already, right? Like we can see in the community that people asking, like, how do I make a Wax wallet? How do I play? How do I download Minecraft? So lots of people are coming that clearly don't already belong to this space, but they clearly have a space in the uplift, and I believe I'd like to say, hang in there if you are one of those people. It is a little bit of a learning curve, right? Like it's like we just spoke about. It's overwhelming. It can be, but it's worth your time. Like you just put a little bit of effort into it, and very soon you're gonna be just flying off and building really cool stuff, creative things, and interacting with really, really nice people. So it has the potential to bring lots of people into this space, I think. Using Walks, which is aiming to be a more inclusive platform in the crypto space, and using Minecraft, which is the number one downloaded game in history. We're combining two things that are pretty easy to onboard people with. So I suppose we're doing as best as we can in that sense.
That's fantastic, and yeah, I'm excited, but I mean, I'm always excited. I'm excited to see people who would normally stay so far away be curious. And even if that
Yeah,
curiosity is really suspicious and what are they doing? And it's probably a scam. And what is that? Okay,
yeah,
come on in. Let's learn. It'll be fun.
yeah,
Yeah.
for sure. I agree.
So, um, there's a lot of new technology involved in the Uplift world. What surprised me the most about it was that I did not know it was technologically possible to do something like this. And maybe it wasn't, and maybe it isn't, and it's being made up as we go. Great. But I had no idea. So, what do you see as being some real world implications for this new technology?
Uh, I believe just the fact that we're working with a metaverse that has uh, the amount of flexibility and possibilities engraved in its core nature as we do, which is using the Minecraft engine at the start, which again, like we said before, in the future that might change. We might develop proprietary, technology, but right now we already have something that is the fact that you get into this metaverse and it is scaled up to something you're familiar with, right? Like so you can create anything, but it still looks like the real world. It looks and feels like you're creating something that's actually tangible for even for the people that are not super familiar with it, right? um, with gaming and these crazy new space. But then I think I lost a little bit of my train of thought here, but I was gonna get somewhere with this. What was the question again? Sorry.
What would be some real world implications or uses for the new technology?
Yes. So the fact that we have that very very relatable structure to the game, and which is it's real world compatible. Let's say already off the bat, um, and you have an actual trustworthy economics attached to it via cryptocurrency with blockchain, which is something that didn't happen before. So people tried to do many really really cool metaverses before, right? And I've been a part of one like almost 10 years ago that had economics. You could buy blocks, you could do some things like that, and so this technology in Minecraft isn't new, but in my real world example of using that game at the time, I had a lot of fun. I put some money in, and after just a couple of months, I think that I was in, and I was really playing. I built lots of stuff in it and stuff. It just all of a sudden they just came to us and said, "Look, I'm so sorry, but we're not going to be able to run the server anymore, and we're shutting down basically." So, uh, that you got nothing out of that, for example. But if you have something that's in the crypto space, you still have stuff. You still have your NFTs. You still have your money, even if it's a legacy thing. Basically, there's always going to be value in this, and the currencies that you're getting just by playing, they're actual currencies that can be used for real life use. So the conclusion to those things that I'm saying is the fact that the game is relatable to the real world and the currency is trustworthy and it's reliable. That combination just is the most powerful thing in my opinion, because then it doesn't really just matter what kind of features and things we're going to implement. They're going to be cool, but just having those things combined already gives you so many possibilities. Like it's crazy the amount of things that come to my mind, like people discussing about doing games online or e-learning, like anything that you would like to do, especially at times like these, where people very oftentimes just can't get out of the house, just interact socially as much. You have a space that you can go in and you can feel like the scale makes sense. You can even use VR right now to play in the Uplift, theoretically, if you have the right equipment at least. And you're basically already in a classroom. You're interactive with other people. You're interacting for learning something new, or you're just playing like a cool game but with people next to you, or you can watch a concert. Like how cool is all that, right? So it definitely ties up to real world stuff, and it kind of is real world because we're real people. We've got this tech in front of us and we're interacting with it, right? So it's I mean, I guess it gets philosophical at some point, but it's just there's endless possibilities. I think that's my answer to that.
That is fantastic, and I like it. I'm just going to take a look. Oh, there are some comments. Okay. Let's see, any questions? No questions. All right. Well, that's all that I had. Was there anything that came up that you wanted to add? Any thoughts?
uh I just I don't know. I guess I'll just use a little bit of time to just ask like what drew you to put the show together, and just like get to do these things. Is this I'm super curious as well. Like I know that I heard from Corey that you've got a journalism background or
Yep.
something like that, and I can see that the way you interview and everything, which is pretty cool. Yeah, just like of course I don't intend to interview you back, but just a little bit on
Sure.
how the show came about, and
Well, I do have a journalism background, and ever since I got out of it, I've been looking for a way to get back into it that made sense. And the timing was right. The COVID numbers are sky high here. I was working in a medical clinic, and people were left, right, and center saying I'm just fine, when just fine meant, they'd go for the COVID test later and the advice of their doctor, and they had the COVID. And I'm
all
not bringing
right,
that home. We don't
yeah,
have the same vaccination rates as the United States and Canada. And, we're getting there, yeah. But in the meantime, I'm not bringing that home.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it just became a very, very cut and dry case of what do I need to do to stay home? And I talked to Corey, who got really, really excited. And I talked to Mr. Martian Bullshipples, who said, write down your dream job. Let's see what happens. So I can't refuse that.
Yeah.
So
Well,
then,
it was very similar to what happened to me. So Corey asked me something
yeah,
along those lines. Yeah,
exactly. And,
exactly.
I was taking a look at, where are the needs, and content is a big one. There are a lot of people with a lot of questions, and we don't all know each other. We are who we create ourselves to be in this space, which is a whole other can of worms.
Yeah.
But who are we? What are we doing? And really, what are we doing? This is crazy. So,
Yeah.
to sit
No, I
back
completely
and,
agree.
yeah, to
Yeah, and I asked you that question because I do think that this is of huge value, like more than we can actually fathom to the community. We need to know who are the people we're working with, and why we do what we do, and all those questions that you just said, like just mentioned. It's super important because this is not just about the tech and the game, and like as long as the the core values behind all this and the culture that we're trying to build here don't stay around for as long as the game's around and all that, then it's not going to work the same way, right? So we need to have this, and we need to understand all these questions and ask ourselves them too.
I agree. And
Cool.
yeah, from a position of a societal experiment in terms of what we want to create, that's that's a conversation for a whole other time. The
Yeah.
possibilities are endless. And then to take what we create and bring it back into the real world and to say, well, we've been able to create this amazing place with all these amazing people and this great foundation. So let's just nudge it out there
Yeah.
and, you
Yeah.
know, nudge people with it.
Yeah,
How would
for
the world
sure.
change?
Yeah, we, we
Slowly.
we we have to do it at some point. It's just it's a start, right? We're like, we have to also acknowledge that it's the very beginning. So there's so much more to come. But it's
Definitely.
exciting, right?
Definitely. Well, thanks for the conversation. I feel like I know you a little better, which is good because apparently we're working together now. So that's the thing.
Yeah,
And
thank you so much for giving me the time and space to talk a little bit about myself too.
absolutely, absolutely. The more we know, the better. So I'll sign off here by saying, if anyone's interested, I'm back at 9:15 my time tomorrow morning, which is 11:15 Eastern Standard. That seems to be something everyone can relate to. Greg Smithwick tomorrow morning. So
Amazing.
yes. And on that
I'll
note,
be tuned in, see if I can.
that sounds good. I hope everyone has a good evening.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome. And that is